Right, so here we are. We're all ready to do our patch posting, and I'm going to take you through to the introductions. And as I said, I'm Vanessa Thomas. I'm currently a patch contributor. I'm formerly the Dublin patch mayor, which I did for a few years. And I've stopped that role now, but I still do contribute to patch. Also, I'm a trained freelance journalist. I studied at the British College of Journalism in the UK, and did my internship at a place called the Marketing Eye in Sussex, where I did my copywriting internship. And following that, I also came to establish the Dublin Arts Collective nonprofit. So you'll be hearing a bit more about that today. Okay, so Adam, I don't know if you want to go next.
Sure, thank you. My name is Adam Eisenberg, and I am the Senior Editor of Community Engagement at Patch. And what that really means, practically speaking, is I am the person at Patch who is here to help people just like you with getting events posted, articles posted, really helping you use Patch as a vehicle to reach the members of your community you want to reach. And that's exactly what we're here to do today. So thank you very much for having me.
That's great. Janet, I believe you're next.
Thank you. Janet Fazio. I am a small business strategist, and I am the Danville Patch Mayor, and I focus a lot on event marketing for nonprofit organizations, and you probably haven't seen or heard a lot of me in the last 18 months because of COVID. So I'm looking forward to everything opening back up and getting a little more active in the community.
Thank you, Janet. Well, I'm really excited to get this program going today and to see the discussion that comes out of it. Just a bit of disclaimer before we begin. Janet and I are not Patch staff. I know sometimes it appears that way, but we are not employed by Patch. We are doing this purely on a voluntary basis. The Patch Mayor program is voluntary, and you do it for the city that your patch is connected to. So I was Patch Mayor for Dublin, as I said, and Janet is currently the Patch Mayor for Danville. So yeah, and the other disclaimer that I need to go is that we do not know everything, so we might not be able to answer all your questions. We're hoping to cover most of them, and we're so grateful to have Adam here so that hopefully he covers the things that we cannot ask for you. So yeah, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so just to cover what we will initially be, we will be going through for the rest of the workshop. We will start, as I said, with the introductions, and we're going to be covering how you create your account, which type of post you should be using, optimizing your event posts, and getting the most from the posts that you create. Right, so to begin with, what makes your nonprofit remarkable? I think this was a question that came to mind when I started the Dublin Arts Collective nonprofit. I had no plans initially to start a nonprofit, and I had started writing for Patch because of the place where I am in currently, actually, the Dojang, the martial arts studio here in Dublin. And when the Dublin Arts Collective was being formulated in my mind, the idea of how to market it and what we needed to do was for front and center. And when we know that we are marketing for our nonprofits, often there is just a deluge of information of other nonprofits doing their marketing. And because I'm a huge Seth Godin fan, the concept of the purple cow was always something that came to mind. So the purple cow concept is something that Seth Godin introduced in one of his books. Titled The Purple Cow. He basically, analogy goes that if you're driving along somewhere and you're seeing a field of cows, you expect to see a number of brown cows, white and black cows. Those are the traditional cows you expect to see. But if all of a sudden you see a purple cow, it really draws and captures your attention, and it makes you actually want to remark on it, to comment on something that's unusual that you don't usually see. And so that principle he applies to marketing. And so when it comes to marketing your nonprofit, it pays to keep in mind, what does make your nonprofit remarkable? What are the things that set you apart from the way other nonprofits operate? And I think you are the best people to speak about your nonprofit, to communicate about it, because you know what your core values are and what it is that you want to be sharing. So just to keep in the back of your mind, what is your purple cow? So what I set out to do with the Dublin Art Collective, which we're using as a case study sort of today, was to consider how I was going to communicate about it and what social media platforms I was going to be using. So I'm giving you this diagram just to give you an illustration of where Patch actually fitted into this picture. Initially, when I had started out, I hadn't planned to use Patch. I was planning to use WordPress mainly for these types of communications, which were about artist profiles. So my approach was to engage with artists in the community and then do write-ups and profiles for each of them. And as we built up who was in the community, because we were not aware of that, the collective was new. It was new to Dublin. It was new to the Tri-Valley. So as part of my initial strategy, I needed to find out who was there, what sort of art were they doing. And so gathering that information and then sharing it was one of the core things I wanted to do. So you can see there are two arms to my approach. One was the awareness raising, which you can see in the green arrow side, and the other was the community building arm. So I wanted to get visibility for the artist's work, but I also wanted to see that there was an active arts community in the area. So using the tools that are available, if you know how you generally approach a nonprofit activity when you're starting out, it's really hard because you don't actually have the budget to do marketing. It's not something that's usually a priority. And so using the free tools is about the best way to approach it. When you're looking at tools that you want to share and that are readily accessible, the advantage that we have lately is that social media has given us lots of platforms we can use that are freely accessible. They also, though, require a number of dedicated types of posts that you keep sharing. And so it's all about the commitment you prepare to do to that communication and social media strategy. So when I discovered the tools that Patch had to do this, I realized that I could accomplish quite a bit just by sharing what I was doing via the Patch tools. And that's when I became more and more familiar with it. And when I decided to become Patch Mayor, it also gave me an opportunity to find out who else was active in the area and to connect with other nonprofits that were doing similar work. And so some of the things that I initially discussed with the people I connected with were the channels that they were using, and a lot of them used Facebook. Facebook still tends to be our most popular one for engaging. But the advantage of using Patch is that once you've posted an article or an event on Patch, which we'll get to later, you are also able to share those via other social media platforms. Initially also when I had started this, obviously it was in 2017, and items like Zoom and those sorts of things I've had to add later to the strategy because those were not as popular as they currently are. So just also on the matter of Instagram, that one also came a bit later, and there will actually be some other Instagram training next week if anybody's interested in that. Right, let me just change the slide. Oops, just go back. Right, so let's just step into creating your Patch account. So Patch gives you very straightforward steps, and thankfully the entire process is really stress-free in order to register. These are the basic steps. You just have to go to the patch.com website, and all you need really is an email address to get started and to know which town or zip code you want to be posting in. So someone has asked me in one of the questions in the form that was submitted, about whether their patch was available or not. So not every city has a patch. If you do not have a patch that's in your own town, you can select your nearest patch. So I'm going to go through the process a little bit in more detail after this, but these are the core steps. Essentially, you go there, you know which town you're going to do, and then you just have to register like you would for any other online service. So I think the patch contributors aspect, Adam, I don't know, you want to take this one?
Yes, thank you. So at Patch, we're really open to anyone posting on our platform, whether it's organizations, local leaders, whether those are leaders of nonprofits or municipal agencies, or even just individuals who want to share information about what's going on in their town. And we have a program called the Patch Contributor Program, which offers a little bit more control and a little bit more access to organizations and individuals who we've vetted and approved. And you can actually apply to be a contributor right after you initially create your account. Now, in the case of pretty much everyone in this workshop, you are representatives of nonprofit organizations for the most part, and you are exactly the type of people we would love to give a community contributor badge to. So all you really have to do is, once you create that account, send a quick email to contributors@patch.com and be sure to include the name of your organization and the email address that you used to create the account. Within 24 to 48 hours, someone on our engagement team will review your account, really just to make sure you are who you say you are. And then we will verify that account and add some additional access. What you get as a contributor is access to post in more places. So for example, if you are located in one town, but you have an event that you want to promote in multiple towns, you would then be able to post in the patches for those other towns as well. If you are posting an article about an event, as a regular patch user, you can only post it in our neighborhood news section. As a contributor, you can post it in the business section or the local news section or whatever section of the website is most relevant to your event. You also get access to our Patch Contributors Facebook group, which will let you connect with other contributors, which is great for sharing the work you're doing on Patch, as well as sharing tips and tricks and strategies that other people all around the country, just like you, have used to get the word out about their events. So as you create your Patch accounts, I would strongly encourage you, once you do that, to send that contributors request to contributors@patch.com, and we will take care of that right away and get you on board as a contributor.
Thanks, Adam. I see someone's asking, we will be putting all this information together for you and sending it to you after the workshop, so you don't have to, if you don't remember all the information that's coming out, it will be available to you post this workshop. Right, so while we were talking about creating the Patch account, obviously because I've already created a Patch account for the Dublin Arts Collective, I couldn't do it live for you, but what I have done is I've done a couple of screen captures for you, so just that you can see what to expect when you go through the process. So I'm just going to share my screen again. So this is sort of what you can expect to see. Well, it is what you will expect to see when you go to your patch.com to register. So this is obviously, I've done it for Dublin. And so all you need to do is to complete your email address. That you can see I've added info@dscarts.org, and you have those other options by which to register, and then you add the details requested there and just go create your profile. Right, so once you've created that profile, you will get this verification message, just like you normally do with other sites that you register for. And so you will just have to verify your account like that. And you'll get a confirmation that everything has been verified and that you're good to go to start posting. Right, then you get a screen sort of like this once you've registered, and it allows you to to update your profile, to add your image, to complete your description. All of that information is you can enter here. The advantage of putting an image and a good description, I'll show you in a minute in the bio. So it really helps to complete the profile and not to leave the little faceless guy at the top. Yeah, so this is what it looks like a little bit up close. So you can see your email login and your details, and your home community will be reflected there. Right, so this is once I updated the image for the Arts Collective, and I put the logo up there, so you'll get something that looks like that. And here on the right-hand side, I've clicked on the drop-down, so you can see all the options that will be available to you: the post, write article, manage posts, etc. So that's essentially where you can manage your account. Right, and this is why I said it's important that you actually complete the profile, because when you start posting on Patch, your posts will look something like this. You'll get a description, and you'll see the logo, and any description about your organization will be viewable there. So I think it's important that you do that just for your visibility. Right. Then once all of that has been registered, you'll get this, and you'll say, okay, you're now registered and you're welcome to start submitting your content. Right. Yeah, so I think that'll be the last screen that you see. And once you get onto, once you have all your information in, this is what you'll see if you going to the Patch website and you're looking at what's happening actually on Patch. You'll be registered while you log in, and you'll see your details at the top of the screen. So, okay, there's one more person coming in. Right. So once you've gone through that whole rigmarole and you've got all your profile updated, you are basically ready to go. And the first option you'll see is events. And I think for today, that's actually our focus. I think we've gotten the most questions about events, and so that's the one we're going to be focusing on. So events have a huge potential impact, and I want to get into that and I'll show you the detail for it. Right, so this is where we ended. If you didn't get that email address for the contributor access, that's contributors@patch.com. Right, and I went through what that looks like. So which type of post do I use? So I've had this question a few times, and one of the other people I'm going to be mentioning here is Courtney Teague, because she is the Patch editor that's on the ground for the Tri-Valley area, and she does most of the postings. You will see her name associated with a lot of the articles that you see on Patch. She also has the ability to promote an article that you have shared. So once you've created content, you can also email Courtney to get the article more visible. I have included her email address at the end of this presentation as well. So you have options when you need to make a post. As I said, we'll be covering events today. You have the event option, and the event is the same as the calendar. Essentially, when you add an event, you are adding it to the Patch calendar. Then you have an article, which is a fully fledged article regarding the content that you want to share. So we will be covering a bit of that with Janet's comments later. And yeah, we're thinking of doing a future event focusing on the article writing bit, because I know we get questions about that as well. Then we have the neighbor post, and I think you saw a little screen earlier when I had registered the Patch account that had the neighbor post option. And those are sort of just quick tidbits that you can add. Like today, yesterday, I shared that this event was coming up and sent a reminder. So these are not things that you expect to have the same traction as an article, but the neighbor post allows you to alert the community, ask a question, and see whether there's any kind of feedback on it. So it has a different purpose to the article and the event post. Neighbor posts also are not promotable. So you cannot, if you make a neighbor post, Courtney will not be able to promote the traction of that article for you. So that's just something to keep in mind. The other option is the classifieds, and I've just put some examples there. but they are what they say they are, generally announcements, job listings, etc. If you want to see the kind of content that goes under the classifieds, you're welcome to browse through the Patch site, and you'll see what sort of things people are posting. Right, so now let's get to creating event posts. So as I showed you earlier, there was the drop-down menu for creating the post. I'm just going to go through it, and then I'm going to go through these steps, and then I'll try to do one live for you. So the first option says click the post button, which generally you get to the event tab, and then you need to know the date and time of your event, and essentially you're adding this event to the calendar. So you will also need a location. Currently, most people are having online events, and although we're moving into more hybrid types of situations, but there is an option for you to just write Zoom online, which is what I use for the current posts that I'm giving. And then have a nice description about your post, make it about your event, make it exciting, give a description, and give contact information about where you'd like people to reach you if they have any questions. Then also just for the images, there's an ideal image size of 1200 by 900 pixels. Patch is quite flexible with the size of the image that they allow you to post. The only thing to consider when you're adding your image is that at certain points when you share it on social media, you might not see the full text. So that's just something to consider. You may use other sorts of images that will be more applicable on other platforms. It depends how you want to share. Right. Then you click next, and you'll see your opportunities to promote your posts as well. So as I mentioned earlier, on the top right-hand side, you'll see Dublin Art Collective and the little logo. When you go to the top there on the drop-down, it says post. And we'll just give it a couple of seconds. And here you'll see your options for posting. So your first one is the neighbor post, and it gives you a few rules for posting. And as I said, I gave you that example of the neighbor post I did yesterday. And today we're going to the event tab. So we're going to click on that one. So this is what you'll see on your event tab. You will have the area that you want to be posting in. So that's Dublin for me. And then, as I said, you'll need to know a date and time for your event. So I'm using the 25th because I mentioned the Instagram training is happening next week. And I think it's 7:30. Is that correct, Meg?
Yes, that's great. Yes.
Okay. Right. So I'm using Zoom online because I don't have a specific location for this event and it's happening online. I'm just using that as a reference. Right. So let's go down here. And we get 7:30 p.m. Right. So I'm going to put in here basic Instagram training. Or I'll say with TVAST. And TVAST is the Tri-Valley Artist Studio Tour, which is coming up at the end of the year. But this Instagram training, just as a matter of information, is going to be open to everyone interested in learning Instagram. So if you don't have an account yet, it's a good opportunity. It's also free training. Right, so now the idea is to add your description of your event. So I had a description here that I've put in, so I'm just going to copy that. It always helps to plan ahead when you're going to do your post so that you don't have to take too long to get it done. Right, so it's just copy and pasted and everything is there. And one of the advantages of Patch is that it's really easy to add links. And so I've added that here. You add image buttons here at the bottom. So I'm going to click that. And it will go to my files. And I think I've added one here. Let's see. Here we go, basic Instagram training. You can add that image. So you'll see here you have the opportunity to crop an image if you need to, but you can also save it just in the size that I've uploaded, which I'm going to do for now, just so you can see how it looks. So that's done. And then you can add a link for reference purposes. Right, so you can see it's fairly straightforward just to follow the prompts. Then on this section, we get to promoting your events. One thing that I found really convenient about Patch is that you have the option of posting your event for free. Your first option is free. Your other options, if you want to promote it to a wider audience, is that they just charge $1 per day per community, which out of the, when you're in a nonprofit and you're trying to save budget on marketing, this is actually, I found, one of the most affordable routes to go. And you can also choose the amount of time that you want it to be visible for. So I'm not going to promote this post. You can choose not to promote it and just to have it visible. But if you do choose to promote it, it will be $1 a day to have it featured in your community. And you can also add, you'll see here in the grayed out areas, these are the options where you can, so if I select that, promote, if I want to promote my post, it gives you an idea of the traffic in those areas, and yeah, and which you can select which ones you would be interested. But I'm just going to do a free post now, and then we're going to post that so you can see how it looks. Right. Yeah, and then eventually you'll see your event is now on the Patch calendar, and your details are all there. You do have the option to edit afterwards, but it's better to actually just make sure that you've got your information correct up front. Then also as I said, the reason for completing your description nicely is that you also see the organization appearing at the top, which is, I think, a really nice feature. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing there. Right, and then we can take any more questions if there are any now.
Yes, there are a few questions, Vanessa.
Okay, Meg, you want to just read them out?
Yeah, sure. So if the event is virtual all day, what times do you use, and is there a facility to say all day if it's an all-day virtual event?
Well, it'll just have to be in the timing then. I don't think there's a specific, there's not like, like in your calendar, I know you have a little option of clicking the button that says this is an all-day event. I don't believe there is one. Adam, do you have anything to add to that?
There is not a button to do that as of now. Again, there are a number of features and enhancements and additional things we'd like to see added to event posting that will hopefully be coming before too long, and that is certainly one of them.
Yes, I know another question that we often get about the event posting involves when you have an event running over a few consecutive days. Also, that patch feature, it does not exist anymore. So you do have to have individual posts for those events.
Okay, so what that means now, Vanessa, is that since the Instagram training is for the 25th, 27th, and June 1st, you have created the post for May 25.
Yes.
So which means
yes, so I could go back and make that module 1, and then go for the next event that's happening, I will add a new post for that on the 27th, which is the following training.
Got it. Can we move to the next question?
Okay, we'll take one more because I'm going to get Janet to talk more about
Okay.
getting the most from your posts.
Okay, so do you want me to just read one more?
Yeah, one more.
Okay. Now, when filling out the bio on the profile, you are using your own bio and not the organization. Is that right?
If you're signing up as an organization, you use the organization's bio. So when I signed up the Dublin Arts Collective, it's the vision and mission description goes into that. So when I signed up as an individual, it was just my description. So yeah, it depends on whether you're sharing as an individual or on behalf of your organization. Right, Janet, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So now that you've created your posts, now what are you going to do? Because the old saying, if you build it, they will come. It doesn't work that way. So you've got to create a foundation for your events. And so what I like to do is write an article for the event, maybe 3 weeks out, just to tell people what it is, why they should go, the who, what, why, where, when, included in the article. If you have photos from past year's events, if it is a recurring event, include that. If you've got quotes from organizers, from attendees, from donors on why the community should support this event, those are great to include. And then once you have your article set, what I do is I ask the staff and board of directors, if you're a nonprofit, to please share that article with their social media networks. So you may share it on Facebook, LinkedIn if it's appropriate, Twitter if you have a big following there and if it's appropriate, and then using the Linktree or another similar Instagram tool that allows you to link posts with articles posted on Instagram as well. So you kind of know where your community is online. So make use of the various different social media platforms because they're also free, and just get the word out and share with all your people, basically. So you can't just leave your event out there and hope people will see it, because there are lots of events in Patch, and there's so many things to choose from these days, especially as we open up more. When you get closer to the event, I like to do a coming up this weekend, if it's like a coming up this Saturday. So maybe the Thursday before, if it's a weekend event, I will post another shorter article like, hey, don't forget this is coming up. Here's a link to register if that's required, or to purchase tickets or what have you, just to get that event back in people's minds. Following the event, I always like to let people know how it went. So, we had this record number of attendees, we raised this amount of dollars, look at all the fun photos that we have. If you're going to post something online with a photo album, that's a great place to share it. And if you didn't have a chance to donate, here's a link where you can donate now. So I really like to build a foundation for these events where it's coming soon, coming up this weekend, and here's how it went, kind of trifecta, in order to help boost your event up.
Okay, thanks, Janet. Okay, so here are some of the links that we've used with this content, and at the bottom you'll also see Courtney Teague, the Patchfield editor's contact information. So we will be sending you this, as I said, but these are quick reference articles if you need to have them. Patch does have a very good support page where you can find all the content on getting more clarity on how to do any of the processes on Patch. And then also there is the Patch contributors Facebook page. So if you are a new contributor, that's usually a good platform just to share some of your content. And if you have any questions, that's a community that can be very supportive. It just helps to be able to also see what sort of posts are being created by other patch contributors. Right, so I think that's what we wanted to share with you today. So thank you for your attention. And now the floor is open to you to ask questions.
Yeah, Vanessa, so after you created the events, there were a few more questions. Now, after you created the event, right? We see the screen where, you know, we have the nice little date and the image and all the information. Now, do you see that screen after you've been approved by the contributors at patch.com? Is one able to do this only after they have received the contributor status on Patch?
No, you will be able to see it once you've registered before you get the contributor status. The events are not dependent on getting contributor status. That's more for the articles. Am I correct there? Yeah. Adam? Yeah. So yeah, you definitely will be able to see you will be able to see and manage your event posts before you get contributor status.
And you'll get a confirmation email once you get the contributor status.
Okay. That's a good part to mention. You will get an email confirming that your post your event has been posted and that it's live on Patch, and then you'll also be able to see whether people are responding to it or not, because they will be able to add comments. And that's what Janet was talking about. I think I did have in my diagram regarding the communication strategy, when it came to the engagement, I think people expect that if you post it on Patch, as Janet was saying, that automatically that gives you a big traction, but it doesn't necessarily, because you are competing with all these other people who are wanting also to promote their organizations and their posts. So the more work you do to get attention to that post, the better. And that is what I like about having it posted on the calendar. You can share that link across multiple platforms. So what I would usually do is I use Twitter to share the content regularly. So not just on the day that I've sent it out. So I also do use the feature post, so that the feature option of $1 a day works out to $7 a week. So just before your event, which $7 most nonprofits, even little ones like mine, can afford. And then I just promote for that short period before, and that gets an automatic boost. I don't know if any of you use Facebook boosting posts, but it's kind of a similar principle in that you will get featured on the front page of the patch that you registered in as well. So your event, when it's featured, comes up more frequently in that little feed that scrolls on the side of the patch homepage.
Great, thank you, Vanessa. Now, if you go through Courtney for promotion, does it still cost?
Well, Courtney just changes the ranking of the article. So she's not actually she's promoting in terms of the sequence of where that article will appear. So it will go, for example, into the newsletter. If anyone is registered for the Patch newsletter, they send out a newsletter in the morning with the current updates. And then there's more of a chance that your article will get featured in that newsletter summary. And it also, of course, depends on how well written the article is and how much appeal it's going to have, because obviously, it has to have a certain appeal for it to have better reach. So the more effort you put into crafting that article and making it engaging and putting good images with it, the better the chances of getting that post featured in the newsletter. Adam, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I would just add that the ways that Courtney would or any editor would promote events and things like that is different than what the paid promotion gets you. So we're talking about two separate things, but both can certainly be useful to help reach that audience.
And I'd also add to give allow time for that as well. So you need to have some sort of planning going on. If your event is coming up in 3 or 4 days, it may not be enough time for her to promote the article if there's other news going on, in your community. So just be mindful that you need to plan ahead for that.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next one, can only one individual post an organization's profile in an organization's profile?
Well, you'll get one account. It wouldn't make sense to have more than one account for one organization. That's just my opinion and my understanding of it. And so maybe Adam is better positioned to answer this question. But I would suggest just sticking to one account that perhaps more than one person can access to add content, but just keeping the one presence, because also that tends to get complicated about who's posting. You want to create that brand identity. You want to connect with the same audience, and you want to be sending the same messaging. So as I said, when I started my initial strategy with that diagram I showed you, you get buy-in from the people that are working with you to promote the event. Just like Janet said, your board or whoever is organizing the event. Like if we have a show, it's usually Meghna. And then we have someone who is also going to share the same content, but we have one position, one account. Adam, you want to?
I would just echo that. I always encourage organizations to create one account. And if it's a situation where multiple people will need to log into that account, one suggestion I might make is if there is a general email address, info at whatever organization, a lot of times it's easier to use that. Then you can share that login with everybody. If someone leaves the organization and someone new comes in, they can pick up right where you left off. Eventually what you'll see is your organization's profile page on Patch will show a running history of everything you've posted. And, you want to have that all in one place, I think. And as Vanessa said, help to build that identity and let people know where they can find you. So I would definitely recommend one account, and just, as many people as you want to share it with in your organization to post, that's perfectly fine.
Perfect. Great. Now,
sorry, Meg, before you continue, just also add that Adam mentioned a good point there about having a history of what your organization has been doing. And I think as a new nonprofit, that was very valuable when we started out and we were building the momentum. We've actually added a page to our website which keeps a record of all the media that we've. So not only Patch, but any other media coverage that we have. So DSC in the news is on our Dublin Arts Collective page. So it also just gives other organizations or other individuals visiting you an idea of what your activities are. So it's a good way also to have a repository when you're applying for grants or you're applying for other sorts of processes, to have a record of. It's easy to remember the dates when you did things and when content was shared. Okay, Meg?
Yeah, Vanessa, sorry. So $1 million question that a lot of us have is, how do we promote events in the different cities? And can one single person be able to do that?
Who wants to take it? Yes, you can. Is the short answer. And it all depends on how much you want to spend and which communities you want to reach. So, for example, in the Tri-Valley, we have Pleasant and Livermore and Dublin work fairly close together. And usually with our arts nonprofits, if we are doing things, they tend to overlap. So we would like to share in those communities as well. So it depends also on your objective. If you're just wanting to raise awareness about the event and you want to spread it further, you could choose to opt for high traffic areas that are close to you rather than just your neighbors. So yeah, it depends. But and it also depends on your budget and how much you want to spend. Janet, do you want to say anything about that?
Well, you have to spend the money to do it.
Yeah.
Basically, there's no free way of doing that currently. And I would doubt to see that coming, actually.
You do get lots for free, but not everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I would just do it strategically. So, where you want to reach your people. So choose those patches and look at, you can, I don't know if you remember, but when Vanessa was showing you how to promote the event, it shows you the subscription reach on the right-hand side. So it will show you how many people that newsletter is going to. So you'll know how many people you have the potential of reaching when you post to those areas.
Okay.
Great. All right. What is a good strategy to manage multi-day events?
Right. So this varies dependent on the individual and what your workarounds are. Do you have a particular strategy, Janet?
Kind of depends on what the event is. So I've got a client who has got a 2-day garage sale coming up. It was, have to post for both days that it's, coming up, it's Saturday and Sunday. But then in the article that I would write, I would say, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday and stuff. So, and I would just really promote, you can count days and stuff. I would promote the last day of the event and then count out 7. And I think you can do as many days up to 30, right? I believe you can do that now for promoting if you want to promote for that long. So, but take the last day of the event and then count forward.
Yeah, I'm the same. I tend to use the last day of an event if it's going to be happening over a prolonged period. And then I use my other social media platforms to share the link for that event, building up to it. So, previously Patch did have the capability to do a range, but that's gone away. So you do have to find your own workaround. So I think we both use the same strategies to get to take the end. Or also if there's a launch day that you want to highlight, then you do the end and the launch day and make those the primary sort of posts you want to promote. I know Adam can't really comment on that, but yeah, there's no simple solution to it. We're hoping that Patch will bring it back at some point to make our lives easier. But at the moment, you just have to be creative with your solutions.
Great, thank you. All right, now we all use Call for our artists, which is open all month. How would you post so you would see it every day?
Again, that's going to be a featured option. So when I see somebody asked a question about a featured event, when it's featured, you've paid to get it featured. So you remember I mentioned that $1 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So that will get your post featured, and it'll appear as a featured post when you visit the website, and as a featured post when the newsletter goes out. So that's also a paid option. And as I said, in terms of payment, it's one of the most affordable options that I've come across to promote events.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then, all right. Does Janet write articles for Danville area and Courtney Tri-Valley, or is it one does online articles and the other does newsletter?
Okay, so all of Patch is online. The newsletter is just the email version that goes out to highlight the most recent articles. So they're not actually two separate things. Courtney is the editor for this region. So Janet is the Patch mayor for Danville. So it's just that the regional responsibility is Courtney's because she's the Patch employer. So Janet, I don't know if you want to comment.
I'm happy to help people get their articles posted in Danville if they want something posted in the area. But remember, I'm a volunteer And so happy to do it. If you can send me, the full information, like a press release, photos, and everything that you would want in there. But also give me lots of lead time, because I am a volunteer. Nobody's paying me to do it, but I'm happy to help you out to get some visibility in the Danville area.
Yeah, I think that is one of the tricky areas, and why I could not maintain being the patch mayor for Dublin, is because once you start down the road of posting for other people, it becomes a non-stop cycle. And yeah, so I stopped having time to post my own events, because there were so many requests to post events for other locations. So yes, there is a need, but this is part of why this training is so valuable, because it also gives you a chance to take ownership of that process, and you can see what's working or whether you need to boost it. And as I said, you can even do a community post, a neighbor post, or something in between, just to keep the item a hot topic and to make it visible. With your branding and your imaging, that's also important, so you can see that that you're getting the maximum traction that you can. So it does really become more than just about posting and leaving it there to gain its own momentum. I'm just looking at the questions. Christine's asking something. If you use last day, when will it start to show up? Okay, so it depends how many events are happening in that month or in the period, Christine. Meghna, I'm just going to read the question so that people can hear. She says, how many days is a posting listed? Example, event that lasts 1 month. If you use last day, when will it start to show up? So as I said, depending on how many events are happening in your area at the time that you're posting, it could become visible immediately, even if you haven't featured it. But if it's like an intensive period where everybody's doing something, it's only going to be visible when you actually go to that month to see what's happening. And that will be most likely other organizations who want to post their events, and they will go and check that calendar to see, okay, who is having an event in this period. And so the other option again is to pay to have the post featured. Have it featured, and then your visibility comes up. So whenever there is an opportunity, it will go obviously by date preference. So the events coming up sooner will be more visible, and then it will go to the others that are coming up later.
Great. And we have just one last one. Who are the patch mayors for Dublin, Livermore, San Ramon?
Okay, I'm not sure if the patch mayor program is being continued. Adam, do you know?
Yeah, I can speak to that. The patch mayor program is, I wouldn't say it's going away, but we are not actively recruiting mayors right now. And even at its peak, we have about 1,200 sites across the country and probably had 100 mayors. So many sites do not have a mayor and will not have a mayor anytime soon. And I believe that those sites are among them. And generally, the mayor is in some cases somebody who can really help facilitate getting things posted. Other mayors have played different kinds of roles, more with moderating conversation on the site and less with posting. So for those patches where we don't have a mayor, in a lot of cases, those are Courtney's sites, and going directly to her can accomplish a lot of the same things that going to the mayor would.
Right. And there was one question in between, how to get info to Janet to write article, and Janet has listed her email address in the chat. So there's the answer to that. And yeah, that was the last one, Vanessa.
Okay, that sounds great. We're just about to hit 12 o'clock. So are there any burning questions you have before we end the session? Okay, if there aren't any, I am going to put a link to the feedback form, or Meg is going to put the link. Which one? Meg, do you have it?
Sure.
Thank you. Just so that we wanted to see if this was of value to you, whether you would be interested in doing a follow-up on the actual article writing component. Our approach is that the more information we give you and share with you about our experience, the easier it becomes for you guys to share your own content and to control that. And I think as a marketer, that's priceless, to be able to tell your story the way you see it. I think coming back to the purple cow, it's what makes you remarkable about how you delight your audience, about how you keep them engaged. And that becomes entirely up to you. Telling your story in a unique way is a special opportunity. And I'm grateful to Patch that we have a platform like this that is not as restrictive as others. And that we do actually have an opportunity to promote work that sometimes is not always in the front and center of other people's minds, but we have the opportunity to make a case for the things and the causes that are dear to our heart. Also, if there are any tips and things you'd like to share with others, we welcome those as you create your Patch account and start posting your events and what your experience is like. I think it's valuable as users to give this feedback to Patch. As I said, especially the event date range thing has been a problem for a while. And so the more people I think that highlight it, the more pressure we put on them to try and do something about it, because I know Adam struggles to get that visible as well for us. So yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope this was informative and met the needs that you had. As I said, we might not have been able to answer all your questions, but at least we would have given you an opportunity to try something new. So yeah, so thank you again, and hopefully we'll be chatting on forums again soon. Thanks.